Okay, so this is a paid question and answer. Though I've sent audio message to the person that paid for this service. However, I decided to also do a video on it so that I'll be able to explain myself much further, and other people will also learn from this. Okay, so let's start. Oh, by the way, this is a WhatsApp message I received from the person before he paid for the service. So it reads, "Good afternoon, sir. My name is Pom Pom from Pom Pom, Abuja. So I bought a Peugeot 207. The engine was changed to 307 engine 1.6. It was firing and moving perfectly well after buying the car. I immediately took it to my mechanic to change the fan belt and the timing belt, but after the change of both belts, the car misfires and has no power. Can't even climb a small hill or obstacle from gear 1. But when I'm moving gradually, it will pick up along the way, while on highway, it moves well uh, until I slow down and I try to move. It will struggle again before picking. Uh, Consume fuel too. I've changed manifold sensor, manifold, fuel pumps, service my nozzles working well, blocks working well, still not moving like I bought, I bought. Please help me. I really need your help. I've not even used this car since I bought it. Help me out, please. Okay, so for what you said the car, which is 207, was originally with a different engine that the car currently now have. So it was changed, according to you, the engine was changed to the common 1.6 liter petrol engine we find in 307, which is the TU5JP4. I want to believe that's the engine you mean. Um, so, and it was working well after I made the purchase. He took it to have a preventive maintenance done on the engine, that is changing of timing belt and auxiliary belt. And afterwards, the if EFI issue started as electronic fuel injection issues popped up. So the engine lost power, started believe what you mean, all those not moving well when the vehicle is at low speed. Those are more like hesitation. You say it's consuming too much fuel. um that's excessive fueling. I should expect black smoke from the exhaust as well. You check your exhaust, you see black smoke. It might not be that huge, but it has to be there once the consumption goes that high. And once it's having that kind of hesitation, that hesitation is also as a result of excessive fueling and other things. Now, let's keep aside the conversion part. Normally, once as when you hear this kind of symptoms and the story behind it, a little bit background story, um, I would say your timing was not properly set. Yeah, timing off when timing is not set properly, you will get this kind of symptoms. These symptoms you mentioned. Yeah, since you said the timing was changed and then all this started, it's usually I would say any good technician that hears it will tell you your timing is not correct. Yeah, timing is mechanical, but then is electrically, the ignition is electronic. So if it's not properly done, your ECU will not work well with that mechanical um setup on the engine. So first thing I would suggest, I'm not saying the mechanic is bad mechanic, but I would say you need a second look on that engine. you need another eye to look at that timing chamber. They need to remove the timing cover, the timing chamber covers, that plastic cover. Then look at that timing to be sure that what I mean timing, you probably were there when they changed the timing belt. So that place, the on top of the cylinder head, you will see two sprockets, down part of the engine. On the block side, you see another big sprocket. So those sprockets have to align the three of them have to align with each other. What I mean each other, there are timing mark that must be aligned before you could say your timing is correctly set. So the another mechanic will need to remove that cover and check if those timing mark are correct, as in right now that they are properly matched. So if not, they are not. Even if you like, change everything that looks like EFI component, sensor, this, even your ECU. If you like, change everything, or your harness. It didn't matter what you've changed before or what you still want to change. As long as your timing is not set, this issue will continue. So you need another mechanic to look at it. Normally, when you scan the vehicle, it will tell you something could be wrong with your timing. Fortunately, the TU5 JP4 engine, which usually have two injection system, that's NFA and NFU. They don't have a camshaft position sensor, if I could correct correctly. I'm trying to remember. I have an understanding of that system, injection system. So, but so my point is, I'm trying to technically think, trying to figure out if it will show on the scan tool if your timing is not correct, since this camshaft position sensor is not there. Even though there is crankshaft position sensor, but the camshaft one, that's one is also regarded as a reference sensor. But or it could be, I just can't remember exactly, but I don't think it has. However, the best way to figure it out, that is to scan the vehicle to tell you. But if it's about timing, um, and the person who is doing the work doesn't have the scan tool, I don't think we should bother about scan tool right now. It can be easily physically checked and corrected. You don't need a scanner to know that. So now the timing aspect aside, now your car was converted from whatever engine. You don't probably you don't know which engine was there before. I don't know. It didn't state. But since he said TU5 JP4 engine, like I said, if you've been following my videos on 207, 308, I will tell you for 307, for 207, see, you could say 99.8% of 207. In fact, I'm not even sure. I try to remember again. I'm trying to remember, but let's just leave it at 99.8% of 207 we have in Nigeria right now with TU5 JP4 engine. We are converted from a different engine to that TU5 JP4 engine. That is, TU5 JP4 is the 1.6 liter, I think I said it before, 1.6 liter engine that is common on factory assembled 307. That's the one that had a factory engine, that the engine was produced with from new. So all the, like I said, 99.8% of 207, 307, 308 you find in Nigeria right now running or parked or abandoned. And you see this engine on the under their engine bay or but their bonnet, it means they were converted. Those engines were not there originally. Only very few 308, at least I know for a fact, 308, very few were produced with that engine from new. So majority you see now were actually converted. If you see that engine under their bonnet, it was converted from one engine to another. Mechanical conversion is not the issue. I've telling people that mechanical Nigerian mechanics or those technicians that do this conversion in Lagos, Kaduna, Abuja, they are very good when it comes to that. They will do it properly. Well, not all of them, but I know people hardly complain when it comes to the mechanical side of conversion because it's basically like plug and play. You don't even need much modification on that, unless the mechanic is maybe still learning or doesn't know the knowledge is not that fully there on that system, that TU5 JP4 system. However, on the electronic part, the electrical part actually, where the issue is ability, the capacity to make the TU5 JP4 injection system to work with the central engine wiring harness on that vehicle. People think that when you just to take your engine ECU and swapping. If you remove one, let's assume the car had a turbocharged engine. So if you remove turbocharger engine, remove the engine wiring harness of the turbocharger engine from the vehicle, then you put the TU5 JP4 engine, and then you take engine wire harness of 307 with that TU5 JP4 engine and just plug in on the on the 207 that you swap in the TU5 JP4. Once you plug it in, everything will work. That's a lie. That is a lie. As in this, I'm telling you, as someone who understands these systems, especially EFI, that's a lie. Once the engines are different, 80 to 90% of the time, the central wiring harness, I'm talking about any wire you see from that car, from the tail light to the engine bay, or more or less to the fuse box, the BSM, they usually differ from one engine model to another. Even if they are all the same car, the same 207, the same model, they usually differ. Some might have very similarity, like maybe only one or two wires might be different. So in that way, you can easily now modify, or when you do the swap, issues might come up, but it might not really affect the engine, but it might affect other components. So in that case, you could manage and use the vehicle like that. Why some, you have to like up to 50% modification on that car electrically before that engine can work well. What I mean modification, I mean you have to cut off this wire, take this other wire, join here, cut off this one, take this one and do there. You keep doing that until eventually all the electronic components on that engine can be able to communicate well with the BSM. The BSM, then even the one that also the ECU also has some communication with the central wiring harness that will go to the BSI and the rest. Also, you also have to modify it such a way that your BSI that will be inside your car will be able to communicate, because the wiring harness, the connections are not the same with the one that was originally there. You have to make it work. So where the problem is when they give an incompetent person or person who don't have knowledge or how to get it done to make those things communicate with each other properly, you are going to have severe injection issues. I told my stories of my 505 visits the other day. Some people felt sad, some people felt inspired, some people most likely will also feel what a crap. I just wasted their time reading these boring stories or story. So who cares? It all depends on how you resonate or you relate with the story. I told that story to people actually to understand that all this time for years I've been warning and knocking and telling people, be very careful when it comes to buying used Peugeot vehicle. The story was even about 1986 vehicle. This is an old Peugeot vehicle. Oh. At that time, the injection system, the wiring system was even more simpler compared to what we have now. That's why I tell people, be very, very careful. In your case, you probably knew the car was converted from that engine to the other. Or maybe you made the purchase and now did the conversion. I don't know. But for what you said, you are aware. Or you were aware when you made the purchase. That's my understanding from this your post. Was the car properly checked to be sure that the conversion, the electronic part of the or electrical part of conversion was properly done? Was there a thorough inspection of on the car before you made the purchase? Now you said, oh, you started the car, it worked well, you knew it. It's possible the conversion was done well. But then what you don't understand about EFI system is the ECU that you have. See, all those time my 505 was doing me all those things, I was doing all those things. It's just that because it was a story, if I start telling everything completely that happened, we probably will reach like 5 parts, not even 3 parts of the story that I told. There are times I will buy some ECU, some components and change. Immediately the engine will start working well. The black smoke will stop. If we start the car, it will rev well, do all those things. But guess what? 50 kilometers into the drive, by the next morning you start the car, it will go back exactly to the same way. Reason why? The ECU. When you put something else, even though the connections are not the same, it will start to learn differently. The components you put, the value is receiving. It will behave as if it wants to work well. And then over time, he realizes, no, something is wrong with this connection. This connection. I'm still not communicating with this other sensor, or I'm saying the value I'm receiving from this sensor or that sensor or this component is not what it is supposed to send. So over time, it will crash again and go into this dark mode it had when it was giving me all those black smoke and other injection issues. So that's how ECU behaves. So it's possible that when you bought the car, the ECU, the connections, the electrical part of connection was not properly done. So ECU was kind of managing the situation until the timing belt was done. He now had to, it crashed. Or it's possible that when they did the timing job, because the engine wiring harness probably was modified, is expected. Like I said, you have to, highest it will be maybe a slight, maybe 1 or 3 wires probably were cut off and joined to another one or this or that. Some you have to be like serious modification before it can work. So it's possible in the process of doing that timing job, somebody disconnected mistakenly one of those modifications done on the wiring harness or on the fuse box or the connection to the ECUs or thereabout. Then ECU went mad, crazy, and started doing what it's doing now. So how do you now know what exactly is causing? What you should do first, like I said, is have the timing checked. You can be done with a scan tool, but you probably might not need a scan tool. Like I told you on the other message I sent earlier, um, connect you with one of the mechanics, somebody that I know that can set that timing well. So he will look at it. If it's okay, then you know you need an electrical um, expert, Peugeot expert on that car, someone that can be able to tell you what is wrong. Which in this case, I'll tell you, is most likely not the components. But before I get to that, yeah, let them sort. They will have to sort out the confirm or rule out the timing. If the timing is not correct, they will reset the timing. You drive the car, see if there will be any improvement. In that case, you don't bother touching your wiring harness. If once you drive it, everything is okay. There's no point. Unless you just want to make confirm that everything is intact, then you still need that electrical expert to come and check thoroughly the harness, or not necessarily the engine wiring harness, just to check thoroughly the electrical part of the conversion. How good, even if it mustn't be 100% properly done, as long as it's close to 85, 90 for the EFI system. In fact, the way EFI is, if it's not up to that 100%, I'm not even sure you'll be able to enjoy the system. The ECUs works with parameters. If it's from, let's assume it's from oxygen sensor, you expect from 0.5 volts to 0.9 volts. These are the values I'm expecting from this particular sensor at various temperature. What's it called? Inlet air temperature and the coolant temperature. Then the RPM. As he's receiving all these figures from this, then he will use it to then be watching the value you're receiving from the oxygen sensor to know when to increase your fuel going in via the fuel injectors or when to reduce it. So he's constantly getting feedback from the oxygen sensor. So it does feedback. The feedback comes in terms of values. That's what I mean. The voltage is going up, dropping, going up, dropping. So if the voltage starts, what is coming in now goes out of what the ECU is programmed to receive from that distance. Then you start getting injection issues. Most times it store on the ECU as fault. So you need to scan to see what the issue is. So when you do a wrong connection, let's assume the electrical part of conversion was not properly done. When you scan the vehicle with a scan tool, what you see, you find some of the sensors showing you various kinds of faults. So whoever that will do the scanning now, let's assume is someone that understands the NFU or NFA injection system properly, will now have to check the harness or the wires that connects the sensors to the ECU to be sure that they actually communicate with each other properly. Because it's not about changing the distance. If there's a wrong connection between the ECU and the sensor, there's no way the communication will flow. There's no way the ECU will receive what it's supposed to receive. There's no way ECU will control some of the, because as it's also receiving values, there are some EFI components that is also controlling the same ECU. Based on the values you receive from other components, it will use it to control some other components under engine. The ECU is just the engine management. It manages your engine based on various like I said, values you receive from this sensor or the other, from this or that. That's why it's not good to tamper it. That's why I say if it's not up to 100%, if it's receiving one wrong signal or not receiving a particular signal for another sensor, it can't control the other ones very well. That's why it's coming up on the engine as it's behaving. Let's assume even is your timing. In that case, your camshaft position or your reference sensor is sending something wrong. So it must start. It will cause hard start Even when it starts, there won't be, if you see, there'll be serious hesitation. The engine will also be stalling. By stalling, I means if you try to accelerate, you might accelerate, and when the engine is decelerating, it will go off. That's what engine stalling means. Hesitation is when you press your throttle, you want to increase the engine speed. The engine will just be struggling to gain power. Boo, 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 boo. It won't move. You'll be trying. The engine look as if there is no fuel, or your fuel pump is weak. It will be struggling to gain power to accelerate. That's the hesitation. Misfire is when there's a plug or cylinder that is not um, working. You'll be doing ta 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 ta. That's misfire. Then there are other symptoms too, depending on what you use. They have a lot of technical terms. So you need someone, but start with the timing. That's the basic one. Then since according to you, it started after the timing belt was changed, let's have somebody else, not the same mechanic, check what he did, the mechanical work he did on the car, this specifically the timing. Since all these symptoms you are describing can be caused by wrong timing. So that's I think basically that's these two things are solution to your problem. I don't know in terms of if the electrical part was not properly done. I'm not giving you um assurance that I will agree to do it. I'm not even sure. These days I don't have time anymore. That's why I want people to avoid such vehicles. Unless there are other people that who can actually do it well. So I'm not trying to discourage you. It can be done, but it's just that I've had my days when I have time for all those severe work, because I have to be very severe, and one have to be very careful. Sometimes I will have to look for the schematics to be able to have it properly done. In that case, you have to go online to buy the wiring schematics and then get to work. So these are just decided to, However, let's not get there first. But if I were the owner of the car, whether eventually the issue is the timing and they start working well, I would still need to be sure that the electrical power conversion was properly done. If it's not, for example, I can buy a severe abused electrical Peugeot vehicle. I can buy it my hand. Even if it take me 1 year to correct the abuse on the harness, even if it was converted from one engine to another, and the conversion, the modification, electrical modification, the wiring harness was not properly done, I can do it well. No matter, even if I had to go online to buy the wiring schematics, if I can't find it anywhere for free, I will have to buy it and I'll study it and then reverse it. I'll do it. It's me. It's my car. So it's not. I won't. See, when it comes to such issues like that, I don't give timeline to myself. Oh, it must be done before. No, take it one after the other. When I have the time, I deal with it or I focus on it. If not, so eventually I'll do it. But when it comes to other people's cars, it can be very difficult. Because you, as the owner, will be very desperate. We agreed on so amount, and you're wasting my time. When my car be ready, this is the only car I have. I want it out, this and that. I don't work that way. Once you start putting that kind of pressure, it can as well take your vehicle. You know, because when I work, when you see me working, I work passionately on it. So if I have to do it, I have to get it right, 100% or close to it. So I don't do cut and join like, let's make it work. Because when they start doing all these conversions, that's what they do. Make it work. As long as the engine starts, nobody cares. But in my case, I don't care whether if I do it halfway to start and run. No, I want it to work as factory designed. So I will spend whatever I need to spend. I will go extra mile, even if it take me months or whatever, or however it will cost me to get it every material I'll need to get it right. I'll have to do it, which will be difficult when it comes to other people's cars. So that's why I want people. The other people that can do it for you are very sharp, you know. So you could, maybe those people have more knowledge than I do when it comes to all these converted cars. For example, if I do it on one car and get it right, for especially if the car was converted from one particular engine to another. For example, I'll give you, there's one 308 that was converted, T7308, that was converted from a turbocharged engine. What was it? It was 140 HP. I think it was 140 HP turbocharged engine. The car was converted from 140 HP turbocharged engine to that THP 140 to VTI 120 petrol engine. So the person that did the electrical part of the conversion was able to get like most of the things to work, modified it to work, except one component. Except one more component on that engine, it couldn't make it work. That is that engine, is a VTI engine. So that's something them some people call what's it called? Trying to remember. There's one motor attached behind it on the engine. Is what's it called? Trying to remember the name of this component. So the person couldn't make it work. So I eventually dealt with that person for months. So the person that bought the car, he brought it to me, agreed to my conditions financially and that. I now took my time, studied the modification that was done, scanned the vehicle, saw what was coming up permanently faulty. No matter what I did, it refused to work. I checked the communication between that component to the ECU. I realized that because they had to modify about 3 wires that goes from that component to the ECUs, we are going the wires we are going to wrong. The ECU has about 3 connectors. So the modification they did in such a way that they had to cut out some other things for it to work. So 2 of the wires goes to that component, we are going to something else, to a different connector on the ECU, not even on the right one you were supposed to be. And they were supposed to create a relay. If I had to modify, created a relay, as in to be able to control, to power that particular component and still connect it to the ECU. So I modified the wiring connector, even different from what the manufacturer, the factory one is. But I had to do it because that relay, the relay comes from actually the central wiring harness, which is not part of the engine ECU. So something has to power the relay with the control of the relay is not even from the ECU. So I have to create it. I mean, come on, you need to see what I did. But ever since then, issue went away for good. So that's why I'm saying, once you do all this conversion, it's not plug and play. Only very few models you could say. Before you even do that, you need to study the central wiring harness to know how close the connections are to the engine model you want to swap in. If you could, maybe the one with VTR 120 engine might have close to maybe 95% connection on the central harness to that of 207 with the TU5 JP4 engine. So in that case, it will be easier. What you do, you'll be easy. Go and look for, if you want to do that kind of conversion, then buy the 207 with VTR 120 engine, so that when you do the conversion, it will be much easier. You won't have to do just small modification. But if you go and buy maybe the turbocharged one or the diesel one or particular model of diesel engine, that the harness completely is different. The central harness is different from the one they call dashboard wire. That's why I refer it central harness. There's no way you will connect even the connectors that will go to the ECU self from the central harness will not even enter the ECU of that engine you want to put, because the connector design is different. So unless you have to cut off the connector completely and get another one, and see, you see, modern cars to convert from one engine model to another. Sometimes I tell people, see, it's not worth it. Oh. If you're looking for one, but go and buy that car. You forget about the conversion. If you're ready to do conversion, be ready to spend. So, but I'm not going to lie that I've not come across 207 that we are converted from whatever engine model to this TU5 JP4 engine, and that the conversions were not properly done. No, I will not lie. I've seen about two or three, was it, could I say two or three, that can tell you, yes, I certified, I checked and certified that, yes, I mean, well, the people that did that conversion did a perfect job. You only know that the car engine was converted unless if we are told. That's electrically. I'm not saying mechanically you might check and see it's a few different, but I'm saying electrically, in terms of the way I'm not saying physically, I'm saying, yeah, physically you might look and see a few modification. One wire was disconnected, connected to this other one. No, what I'm saying is the way the engine works with the vehicle, the remaining part of the vehicle electrical system. You won't even know that this was not the original engine or original injection ECU that was on the car. That's my point. So there are people who actually are very good in Nigeria that know how to do that. If you are fortunate and these people are the one that do the conversion for you, yeah, you enjoy. If you're unfortunate and meet the wrong ones, wow. So that is it. I hope this helps, and then other people learn from this. Don't go and buy because it's very cheap, or because you go there, they start the car, they start and rev well, accelerate well. They say, look at the engine. I just changed engine. I put Tokumbo engine yesterday before I put the car for sale. You rush. A modern vehicle, you buy it because the engine is new. You go here. So if you are interested in buying a used Peugeot vehicle, and after watching it, be very careful. Learn from this person. It might not be the cause of his own issue, the conversion, but if yours might end up being that your issue when you buy the vehicle could be as a result of messed up electrical part of the conversion, and in that case, you might end up scrapping that vehicle. So be very careful how somebody who knows what he's doing, even the person might not even be able to see everything, but at least the person will be able to advise you. So far, this is how the conversion was done. He will tell you first, if probably it's not there, that this car was actually converted from so and so engine to this other engine. And then, so far, this is what he has found. Maybe, so for what you have seen or doing the inspection, 80% of the electrical conversion and mechanical conversion done, he satisfied them. But you can't see everything. Within 10 minutes, they will allow you to inspect the vehicle. Because sometimes there are some things scan tool will not show you. So in that way, you have to physically now start tearing the car apart to be able to see all the wiring connection done. Nobody will allow you to dismantle a vehicle because you want to inspect. So at least you have idea, you know what you are going in for. If you are not comfortable with that, you walk away. If you are comfortable, maybe because you like the car, because of the price, and you are willing to risk it, you won't feel bad if you buy an issue come up, because you already have that mind that you have something you need to deal with after purchase if it comes up. All right.